Today we're making air-fried falafel. So I'm starting with these chickpeas that I've had soaking overnight. And we're going to chop up a Vidalia onion, a yellow onion. Barely chop it up because we're throwing it in a blender. Normally you would make falafel in a food processor, but I have a small apartment and I only have room for a blender or a food processor. So I have a blender that can kind of do both. Chunk up some garlic and throw that in there. Now start getting our herbs out here. We're going to use this whole container of dill. Just rip off the ends and leave the stems behind. A whole bunch of cilantro. You want tons of herby flavor in this. I'm going to use about half a bunch of parsley. The rest of that parsley is going to go into a sauce later. Spice from the cayenne pepper. Cumin. And coriander. And some salt, of course. A little bit of olive oil just to lubricate it as it blends. And we're going to get this blend mixture all blended. So that we have room in the blender to add our chickpeas, our garbanzo beans. Yeah, this is a bit difficult. This would be easier with the food processor, but you know what? You make it work. It's going to be delicious. This took me a long time to get to this point. I kept having to blend and push everything down to get it mixed well, but let's just skip over all that. Now add in some baking soda. That's going to help you get a little bit of a fluffier mixture when you end up baking these in the air fryer, or if you fry them. And then adding a little bit of flour helps it just bind together so you can make a nice ball or patty with it. After this is all mixed together, make it nice and smooth. And my OCD makes me smooth out the top too. I'm just going to set it to chill in the fridge for about half an hour. And now we're going to make our sauce so we can have a nice little wrap out of this, a pita. Start with about half a cup of sour cream. This is a green goddess sauce that I kind of stole from a Bon Appetit recipe. Or was it Food and Wine? I don't know. 1/4 of a cup of mayo. I'm using an American mayo, a Kensington mayo, that I really like. I usually use Kewpie for a lot of things, but I think you want that American mayo flavor in this. Now I'm using maybe half of a package of basil here. And the rest of that parsley. This is going to be a delicious green goddess sauce and very green. Blend that up just to make some room because we have more ingredients to go in. Got our green onion, which I'm just sticking in big chunks, like down through the sauce, because when I blend it, it'll actually spin those around and make everything mix better. And these are our anchovies, the whole pack. It's going to be our savoriness. and some pepper. Give it a final blend. And there we go, green goddess sauce. It's going to taste really strong initially, but you need to set it in the fridge, let it sit there for half an hour, and it'll be perfect. And the next day, it's going to be even better. So now we're going to add a little baking powder. You want to add this right before you cook so that it activates when they're cooking. You could be fancy and use measurements, but I'm just a humble home cook and I just cook with the heart, what feels right. And it turned out great, so. Make your little balls, your little discs. If you're cooking in the air fryer, I recommend making them more of a disc, not too thick, and that'll help them get evenly done with the hot air swirling around them. I'm putting down some foil, and I'm greasing it so that my balls won't get stuck in the holes in the bottom of the air fryer. But that also means that about 8 minutes into my cooking, I'm going to need to flip these over to make sure the bottoms get done. I'm cooking them at 350 for a total of about 15 minutes. Since we're making a nice little pita wrap with it, I'm going to dice some tomato, get that nice juicy acid on that sandwich. And then some red onion will just go perfectly with all these flavors. Now I'm just going to heat up an onion flatbread, like a pita disc I bought at the store. I like to get the edges a little crispy and get some browning on it and have it nice and hot and fluffy and perfect for your sandwich or wrap or whatever you want to call it. Greek taco, halal taco. It's crazy, every culture has something, you know, like a taco. Gotta flip my beautiful green boys. And then after another few minutes, they'll be good to go. I burned myself very badly by brushing my finger against the edge of the metal bucket. I'm going to use some old arugula instead of opening a new one, because otherwise it'll get thrown away the next day when it's too wilted. Still tastes good. Just break these in half, because they're big. You only need like 1.5 or 2 for one very filling wrap. Got our tomato, got our red onion. This is gorgeous. And we can dollop on some of our green goddess sauce. This is herby and fresh and filling, and this is one of my favorite meals, no doubt. And you could also kind of just serve this as a salad too, if you left out the bread component. It's so good. I could just like live off Mediterranean flavors, I think. I mean, I love diversity, but I love Mediterranean, North African, Middle Eastern. So good, so good, so good.